Broadcasting from Cincinnati, welcome to Queen City Soccer. Get all the latest news on the MLS's newest team, FC Cincinnati, right here. And now, here are your hosts, Eric and Lisa Lorda.
It is sensational for Cincinnati.
Welcome to the Queen City Soccer Podcast, where we talk about everything FC Cincinnati. I'm Eric, and I'm here with my co-host, Lisa. On today's show, we will preview the upcoming FCC matches with North Carolina and Bethlehem. We're also going to talk about what current roster players have the best chance to stay with the team next season. And we'll start it off today with the match that took place Wednesday at Nippert Stadium, FCC versus Minnesota United to advance in the U.S. Open Cup. Let's talk about this game. What did you think? Now, even before we get started on the game, I looked at the roster, and I was a little taken aback when I saw the roster. There was no Koenig, no Ledesma, no Newton. What was going on? Newton was on the bench or whatever. But what were your thoughts when we first saw this?
Well, at first I was questioning it the same way that you were, but then I looked into it a little bit more, and both Ledesma and Koenig were out with injuries. Lang was also out with a knee injury, although he wasn't one that I was initially missing. Once I read those injuries, it made sense to me. I'm not sure why Newton was out, but I'm not sure that would have made a huge difference. I think I was more surprised that Lasso was on the bench and that Hoyt was not even on the sub list. I do know that they have a delicate balance. They've got a game on Saturday. The more important run for them really is the USL Cup, but it was a little disappointing not to feel like we had our best team out there.
Yeah, I would agree with you here, and it was just like when I looked at it, I'm like, what's going on? You know, it's not the normal team you're used to, the regular starters. The game was level at 0 at the end of regulation and overtime, so they went to penalty kicks to decide, and Minnesota United came out on top 3-1 over FC Cincinnati in a great U.S. Open Cup game. Let's go ahead and talk about the game here. Let's talk about the first half. To me, the game was very evenly matched from the beginning. I didn't feel like we were outclassed because there was a USL team out there. The one thing that I will say that impressed me about Minnesota, they played the kind of soccer that I like to see. You know, against FC Cincinnati anyway. We've heard different things about their season from one of their fans, but in this game right here, they really played very good possession ball. When they got down the field, if there wasn't anything there, they pulled it back, they dropped the ball, went back to restart, came out the other direction and tried different things and really kept control. They really kept control. They kept the pace and really, to me, kind of kept FCC from playing their pace. They controlled the first half. FCC, as we know, this season has been a little bit slower starting team, but I thought Minnesota did a great job in that first half. What were your thoughts?
I'm not so sure that I would say that they were playing a possession game by design. Admittedly, I'm not a big Minnesota fan, so I haven't seen a lot of their game. In fact, this is the one and only game I've seen of them play.
Right.
But I think it's very possible watching them that they were doing a good job of possessing the ball and getting it down there, but they didn't seem to know what to do with it once they got into the offensive third. Didn't seem like they were able to find a way to get the ball. I mean, Spencer Ritchie had a few really great saves, but for the most part, especially in the first half, I didn't really feel like they were in danger ever, really. I feel like it was more breakaways that they were really in danger of scoring. In fact, when I saw the possession stat at the end of the first half, I was really surprised. I thought the first maybe 15 minutes, FCC didn't look so great. I didn't feel terrible. I just didn't think they were able to take advantage or to have any opportunities with the ball. As we've seen quite a bit this year, I feel like once 15, 20 minutes into the first half, they seem to start to come alive a little bit more. That being said, you know, watching them play 3 MLS teams last year, I got the feeling watching them last year that they were very lucky, that they were really playing a better class team last year. And got lucky with getting shots or got lucky to get to penalty kicks and have a good showing in the penalty kicks. I did not feel like that at all at any time during the game Wednesday. I thought they looked like they belonged on that field, and that was fun to see.
Yeah, let's talk about, the one game we always point to when we talk about completely outclass was the Crystal Palace game.
Oh, yeah.
The outcome was never in doubt.
That was
from the first kickoff.
Come to Jesus time moment for me. I didn't have any idea how. I still had like fangirl eyes on when we walked in there, and
right.
The second that whistle blew, that illusion was gone.
and the reason I bring this up, the reason I bring this game up, is because the one thing when I looked at Crystal Palace was those guys out there looked like football players. They were huge.
American football players.
Yeah, right. There you go. So NFLers, yeah, right.
I remember someone talking about how it was that country's Vontaze Burfict was on the field.
Yeah, exactly, man. I tell you, it was pretty crazy. And now fast forward to this game here. Even in the Columbus game, and I thought even in the Columbus game last year, and then the Chicago Fire game. I didn't get the feeling that, and even in the Red Bulls game, I didn't get the feeling that they were oversized.
No.
This team was pretty big. You had, I think it was Boxall on the defensive end, number 15 for Minnesota. He was down
the fans
there.
Really enjoyed him.
Yeah, he was the one getting booed mercilessly. Him or 21, I don't know who it was. It was one of those, but it seemed like every time one of them touched the ball, everybody booed. And then 26 was a big guy. I mean, they had a lot of bigger guys on there. It wasn't spattered with big guys. It wasn't Crystal Palace-like. No. But it was like, they had some bigger guys. I mean, clearly bigger guys.
I guess I didn't see quite the size differential that you were seeing. It didn't seem to me like they seemed like they looked like us. Crystal Palace, we looked like babies out there.
Right.
I mean.
Yeah, they were.
And we played like it. I mean, really, we played like little fanboys.
Yeah. Well, and even with the Spanish team that came in Valencia last year, I didn't see a big size difference there either.
No, I also think last year by the time they played Valencia, that was after playing 3 Open Cup matches against MLS teams, and I think that they had lost their starstruckness, if that's a word.
Yeah.
And I feel like they came out Wednesday at that same level where you never felt like they were intimidated.
Right.
And I thought that was a big step forward for this team. Because last year I think they were kind of intimidated it took a little while to really believe they could play. And I never felt that for 1 second Wednesday night. I feel like they were out there. I didn't even feel like they were super excited. They were out there just to do a job. They were loose. They were having fun. They had a job to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, in true to form, I mean, it has been somewhat of a slow starting team. I mean, you watch them in the sense that it takes them about 15 minutes to get warmed up. To me, it does anyway.
Warmed up maybe not be the right word for me. I feel like
warmed up.
No, I know. I don't think it's the right word. I think they just click better after about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's a big difference, but I just feel like it takes them a little bit to kind of, I don't know, maybe warmed up is the right word.
Then you get the feel of the other team. I mean, kind of like, they just kind of feel them out. And then,
I sort of feel like that's soccer in some ways.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of all out there trying to see what the other team's game plan is going to be doing. And
right. And at the first half, I mean, when the first half was over, I didn't feel like either team really had an advantage.
No.
I thought Minnesota was playing better in their control. The control game was playing better, but they weren't finding a lot of openings down there.
I guess I didn't really feel that way. I felt like, I don't know, I just felt like they happened to have the ball more. I don't know if that even makes sense. Yeah. I didn't really feel like they had the ball more because they were playing such a better game. In fact, I think we had more opportunities at the end of the first half that could have materialized into something than they did.
Yeah.
It didn't matter at the end. It was still level at the end of the first half. So
it doesn't matter. Yeah,
don't really count.
Right. I mean, you can count momentum, but then the momentum changes at halftime because, you got that break and then you come out and it's, you're usually looking at 2 different games at that point.
Well, and I felt very good about them going at halftime level. But again, different than last year. Last year I felt like when they went level, I was like, oh my gosh, they went a whole...
That was excitement.
Half.
Yeah.
This time I just felt like I was very confident that Allen would have them make the adjustments that needed to be made coming back out.
Right. Now, I know this isn't your kind of like your forte or whatever, but were you surprised that the odds makers had Cincinnati, as a favorite in this game? The slight favorite, but a favorite nonetheless.
No, I really wasn't, to be honest. I think that there is an incredible advantage to playing at Nipper Stadium. I think that Minnesota is not a high-level MLS team, and they've proven that they can hang with and beat MLS teams. And I think that we have a better team this year than we had last year. Okay.
And not to mention, I mean, it's not exactly, I mean, Minnesota's not exactly having a great season there either. They're having some struggles themselves. Right. So, yeah, I mean, so it kind of is what it is, man. So let's move on to the second half. To me, the second half was all FCC. They seemed to finally be able to play their style, the breakaways and everything like that, push their pace onto them. They had plenty of shots. The first shot on goal coming about 8 minutes into the second half, and it was right there, man. I mean, but none of them were able to get through. I mean, it was that half was all FCC.
I really felt like once that first or second shot came in 8 minutes in, I thought there's no way one's not going to fall. One is going to fall because they were just that on.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't. They just couldn't break in. And we've seen that before where they just couldn't hit the net.
That's the thing. I mean, and, like I said, their keeper was very good. With Shuttlesworth, wasn't it?
Shuttlesworth. According to the Bailey.
Yeah, according to the Bailey, they were calling him Shuttleworthless. He was worth his weight in gold that night, let me tell you what, because he did a great job.
I didn't think he was anything special up until the penalty kick. So
you didn't think so? No. I thought he was pretty good. I thought he made some good saves.
He was an MLS keeper. I'm not taking anything away from him. Right. There wasn't anything that I was like, whoa. Now Spencer Ritchie had a couple, and I don't know if it's just because I don't have as much confidence in him as I have in
Evan Newton.
Thank you. His name just flew out of my head. I feel like Evan Newton's definitely a better goalie keeper. So when I saw Spencer Ritchie on there, I wasn't super pleased about that, but I thought he had some great saves.
What was the rationale? What do you think the rationale was for starting Spencer Ritchie versus Evan Newton there?
I don't have a good answer for that.
I don't either. Other than I mean, he's got to get some time, right? I mean, but
does he? I mean, he's obviously not a big. I don't think the difference between him and Evan Newton is as big as the difference between Mitch Hildebrandt and Dallas J last year. I mean, Mitch Hildebrandt was clearly a better keeper than Dallas J was. Sorry, Dallas. But I do think Evan Newton's a better keeper. So not seeing him out there, you wouldn't think, I don't know. We haven't heard anything about him being on the injury list, but of course he has fought injury already this season, so maybe they were just trying to be safe.
Could be. So the second half ends with 0 again. They move on to overtime. I mean, as dominant of half that was for FCC, they scored nothing. Mm-hmm. But hey, to their credit, neither did Minnesota, and Minnesota had some chances too. It wasn't like
Minnesota's chances in the second half were more. They came at the tail end of a broken FCC play.
Yeah,
where it was breakaways for them. It was what we saw so much of from FCC last year, which can be dangerous. I mean, FCC won multiple games last year that they really should have lost by all rights.
Yeah,
by getting a breakaway
and
scoring. Sure. So you don't want to discount that altogether.
Right. So they went to overtime, and of course nobody scored in overtime either. So 120 minutes.
I know. I feel like the only
down
thing
the
happened
tubes,
in overtime was Nazmi coming in.
Yeah. Which I was excited for. But I've been calling for him all game.
We're very patient though about it.
Of course, that's how I am.
Not judgmental or angry. It was good.
No, of course not. They go to penalty kicks. Of course, Minnesota gets 3-1. They win the game 3-1. After the game, FCC head coach Alan Koch had the following to say, and this is really good. We are yet to lose a game in 90 minutes to an MLS team. Try and put that in perspective. How do you equate that in an American environment to a second-tier team beating or not losing to an NFL team? And that's kind of a big statement. I mean, that's kind of like, I don't know. I got to be honest. I don't know that it's as like a college team beating a pro team or even hanging with a pro team. I don't think it's that drastic.
I think it's much more difficult to compare football to soccer in this respect.
I think it's more like baseball, like AAA, a AAA team hanging with.
If the Dayton Dragons were playing, well, maybe not the Reds. They're probably not the best example.
Well, no, I mean that's
that's
a great example because, like I said, the Dayton Dragons, your minor league team or the Toledo Mud Hens, another minor league team playing Cincinnati or Detroit, and being able to beat them, which happens from time to time when they play the league games or whatever, the scrimmages or whatever they do in baseball. I don't know what they do in baseball, you know.
Truly a Renaissance man over there.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean that's what I would more equate it to. But that's still a big deal. That's not a
big
you
deal.
know.
It's definitely a big deal.
Right.
It's something that because I'm a sucker for internet comments, which is not great. Doesn't make me the happiest person on earth, probably.
Where do you get the comments from this show?
But as I was reading through, I did get a little frustrated with some of the casual fans and or non-fans at all who were angry that they didn't win or who were frustrated with fans being excited about the way that they played, because I just don't think you understand what kind of accomplishment that was. I mean, the collective salary of that team on the field, those 11 players that started that game for Minnesota, was over $2 million. So those 11 people made more than $2 million this year. We don't have a starting salary that's anywhere near that. And we didn't have two of our three best offensive players through the whole entire game. You know, one of those players, Nazmi, didn't come in until the second extra time. I feel like if you think about those, when you try to put that in perspective, we didn't even put our best 11 players on the field, and we still ended up hanging with them and really dominating good portions of that game, not to mention the success they had last year. I just think it's a remarkable accomplishment.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that I think there has to be a level of realism here, you know, in the sense that, you know, if you look back to last year on that cup run, you know, they beat Columbus. I thought they were outplayed by Chicago. I really did.
I thought they were outplayed by Chicago and Columbus.
Yeah, and you know, it's the only team that they looked great against was New York.
I know the ironic thing is they looked so much better against New York and ended up losing that game.
I mean, they didn't look just better; they looked levels better.
Yes.
Than New York in that game.
And then they lost to the Baby Bulls the week after.
70 minutes in or 70 minutes in, they just had a complete turnaround, a complete shift, you know.
But even that wasn't them falling apart. That was them losing to a better team.
Better depth, better team, better everything. And that's, you know, you got to play 90 minutes.
But
you know,
the fact that we didn't have our starting goalkeeper, we didn't have Lasso back there, we didn't have, like I said, for the majority of the game, three of our best offensive players.
Where's Barrett at? Barrett wasn't back there.
I just think that really shows you a lot about the depth of this team, the character of this team. They never quit out there. I thought it was a great night for FC Cincinnati.
I did too, and I'll tell you what. You know, I just thought they did really well. I really did. I don't think that if you're criticizing their performance, I don't think that, you know, I think you have to reevaluate your expectations. I think you have to maybe evaluate what you're watching, because they played great. I mean, they really did against a solid team. This was a team, you got to think. I mean, and everybody's saying, well, they're going to the MLS. Well, yeah, but you're not going to have the same squad out there.
Right.
You have a draft coming up. You have, you know, everything else. So you're going to have a different team out there next season.
Well, I'm hopeful that as this grows in this city, that we're going to get a little bit better educated on it as a fan base. Yeah. Because I do think that that's part of it. I think this team caught this city by surprise. And there were a lot of us included for the most part, really, who were not big fans of professional soccer, who are coming around and who have, you know, bought it hook, line, and sinker and are really involved. Yeah. But that doesn't mean our knowledge is necessarily caught up.
That's true. That's very true. That's a good point.
I mean, sometimes people will look at what happened in the first 90 minutes of that game, or the first 120 minutes of that game, really, and talk about how boring it was. And I think if you know what you're looking at, it was not very boring at all.
Yeah, that's what gets me too. Is that, like, but I'm more of a defense guy. I like 0-0 games. I like games that go, you know, I don't like shootouts.
No, I feel like 4-1 gets kind of boring. Yeah,
100%. Let's move on to the stats here, and let's talk about the stats for this game. Shots on goal, 15 for FCC, and I believe most of those came in the second half. I can't be sure, but I believe most of them probably did. 15 for FCC, 10 for Minnesota United. Shots on target now, of course, 2 for FCC, and then 4 for Minnesota. The stat that jumps out at me and just smacks you in the face when you look at it was possession. 67%. For Minnesota United, 30-33 for FCC.
That is shocking to me. It's not how I felt like the game went at all. I mean, it really goes to show you sometimes what you're seeing when you're there is not.
Right. 100%, man. 16 fouls committed by each team.
The fans
of course,
at Nippert Stadium didn't seem to agree with the fairness of that.
And of course, the referees were, horrible as usual. Yeah, they were just awful.
I will say they had an aversion to calling handballs, but I think that benefited us more than hurt us.
Yeah, well, the one guy from Minnesota got kicked in the face, and
yes,
I mean we were right in front of that one, and
it was a bad foul. I mean, it wasn't a red card, but it should have been a yellow. It wasn't called at all. He got
kicked toe up in the face, man. So it was. That was pretty bad, and he didn't get called, and he should have been called, but
and I felt like at one point Corbin Bone bounced the ball with his hand. He didn't get called.
I don't know. Hey, if the ref didn't call it, hey, neither do I. All right, there you go. Cincinnati was offsides 3 times.
Oh.
They were perpetually offsides, man. I tell you what, there was a couple of them. We might need a
refresher course on that rule.
Yeah, There
was a couple of times where I felt like I saw them trying to jump back. But at that point, it's probably too late. So,
yeah, exactly.
Just maybe a couple YouTube videos or something to remind us what offsides is.
That's right. Yeah. What is that? Offside. You get it?
Yes, I do.
All right. The man of the match for me. Who was the FCC man of the match for that one? Do you remember? Or
well, I'll tell you in just a minute.
All right. The man of the match for me was Jimmy McLaughlin. I thought Jimmy had an excellent game, had shots, great hustle, never stopped. He had a great game. That was mine. I thought he comes out there every game with just this energy, just this great energy.
Yes.
And as small as he is, here's the deal. As small as he is, I thought that there's no way this guy is going to even think about next season here.
Right.
He's a fan favorite and everything, and that goes a long way. But for his size and everything like that, but I'll tell you what, he did not look outmatched yesterday. If anything, he was right there with all those guys. If anything, he played better than a lot of the guys on the Minnesota squad. I thought he had a great game. He got off some shots. Obviously none of them went in, but that's okay. I mean, he got off the shots, and there's only so much he can do.
Right. Well, he has a tendency though to miss big, and I felt like he didn't have any of those that where you're like, where were you kicking that ball?
Right.
Where, I mean, because he does sometimes I didn't feel like he had any of those. So we've seen Jimmy have not great games. We've seen Jimmy have great games. I thought this was one of his great games. We've never seen him have a game that I didn't feel like he was playing hard.
I'll go you one further. This is the best game I've seen him play.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
To me anyway. Now for you, who was the man of the match here?
My man of the match and the official man of the match voted on by the fans was Emery Welshman.
Oh, jeez. You're such a homer. You got to vote with the fans.
Well, you know I would have picked my Jimmy if I had, but you picked him first, so what am I going to do?
Your Jimmy.
He says hi to me every game, I'm just saying.
Oh, my God.
But I thought Emery Welshman, I thought him and Jimmy, I honestly was very concerned about that when I saw the lineup. I didn't think Jimmy's a great supporting player, but he's not a lead role kind of player. And I don't feel like I've seen enough of Emery Welshman to be confident that he could control that middle. I was really concerned about that. I thought he did a great job out there, aside from offsides, which he should review because that was a problem. But
that happens. So you remember Okoli? Okoli,
lived offside.
Yeah. And
GB would get.
Jimmy was better at it, but he
was fighting people, so he had other things on his mind.
How dare you?
No, I felt like Emery really kind of was the glue that held that offense together in a lot of ways. So I felt like he had a great game.
Good deal. So in the second half, as they always do, they announced the attendance, and the attendance was 15,486 at the game on Wednesday night, and it didn't come to applause. There was a collective groan in the audience when it was announced. To me, I thought there was at least 20,000 there, but I'm not counting them either.
No.
So it was 15,000, and everybody was like, "Whoa!" And everybody in the they're like, "Wow, that's really low."
Right.
Let's keep it in perspective here as a Wednesday night, know, and cup games aren't included in like season ticket packages. So if you're a season ticket holder, you have to pay extra for those.
Well, not only that, but you don't get the season ticket discount that you get. The ticket value of your tickets is different than what you pay as a season ticket holder per game, and you pay the actual ticket price.
I wonder why they do that. Yeah, I guess I don't know.
I don't know, but I think too, honestly, I think the announcement last Tuesday hurt them in this too. I think last year there was this crazy excitement because, oh my gosh, they're playing against an MLS team. And then they won. And oh my gosh. And plus, the first game was against Columbus.
It's a big game.
The two supporter groups went back and forth. There's a lot of, I think, natural animosity between the city of Cincinnati and Columbus. I mean, everyone assumes if you're from Ohio, you're an Ohio State fan, even though, Cincinnati's got some college sports teams as well. So I think that was just set up to be an epic game. And then when they won, the Chicago Fires, whoa, another, it was just this fairy tale run. And this year, we're on the eve of this being our new norm.
And you have one of the best players to ever play on Chicago, too, coming here.
I didn't care for that, man.
I mean, say what you will. I won the World Cup. He's won every.
Arrogant for me.
Hey, I would be too, man, if I had his credentials, man. I'll tell you that.
I love how neither one of us are saying his name.
Schweinsteiger.
You can't. I can't.
Bastian Schweinsteiger, yeah. There you go.
So I think that some of that is just, we were on such an emotional high last Tuesday, and now we're looking forward to next season where this is going to be our everyday thing. Just some of the novelty have worn off. And I know our nieces were trying out for their soccer teams. I know there were a couple different clubs that, had their soccer tryouts. So, our sister and brother-in-law couldn't use their season tickets because they had that. So I imagine there were a lot of people that had those kind of conflicts.
Well, we saw
vacations and things like that.
I mean, our regulars around our ticket place, our regulars around our seats weren't there.
No, just the one couple that we know pretty well. Yeah. Everybody else was not there.
Yeah, so it is what it is. 15,000. Still not a bad turnout. I mean,
it's not
like
we're acting like that's terrible.
Right, it's a terrible turnout. Yeah, that's Louisville. How they 15,000 there.
Right. So
they played on a baseball field.
Do they? That's right.
Terrible. But they're breaking ground on a new stadium. Stadium.
So you won't have to sit sideways to do the game anymore.
The high school. Nice. All right, let's talk about the upcoming games here, the game previews. FCC will be playing at North Carolina on Saturday, June 9th. Let's talk a little bit about this game, man. Last time we played North Carolina, we beat them pretty handily, 4-1. Carolina is 3-5-2 on the season. I think this is a good game for FCC. This will be televised on CW and ESPN Plus. So I think they have a pretty good shot to beat North Carolina. I think they should beat North Carolina. They're struggling a bit this season. They've got a pretty good road record. Cincinnati does got a pretty good road record. I think that they should.
I feel like this, and I would be a little bit more worried about them being on kind of a lowdown after the MLS game if North Carolina wasn't in the exact same position. I mean, they just lost their IPA Cup bid on Wednesday. They played 120 minutes and lost in a shootout. So, I mean, there's lots of tired legs going on going to be in that game. And with any luck, because Ledesma, Koenig, and Lang were all day today, so hopefully at least two of the three of those will be able to play.
Yeah.
Hoyt, I would imagine Hoyt would be back in. I would imagine Newton would be back in. Patty Barrett, I haven't heard anything was wrong with him. So I feel like a lot of the guys that were not involved in the game on Wednesday should hopefully be able to be in there Saturday. So I feel like this should be a good game for FC.
I'm hoping Koenig is back, and Ledesma, Koenig, and I mean, it kind of gets back to our lineup here.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's 3 points. There are no sure things in the league.
But I feel really good about that one.
I do too. And I think they get past that. Also too, now, Wednesday, June 13th, they're going to be playing FCC versus Bethlehem at Nippert. The Bethlehem Steel is 5-5-2 on the season. Last time FCC played Bethlehem, they tied 1-1. I don't know what it is about Bethlehem.
I don't know either.
There's something about, they always seem to play well against FCC. That being said, I think Cincinnati, because they're at home, has a great look at getting 6 points on the table in these two games they have coming up. And they're going to need them because Louisville is right on the heels.
I do too, but I think if we end with 4 points from those two games, I think we can call that a successful trip too.
I think so.
I mean, they're going, like I said, they played 120 minutes of soccer on Wednesday night. That's a big deal. And then they're traveling on the heels of that. And then coming back home just 7 days later. 3 games in 7 days is a lot. So,
especially one that goes 120 minutes,
right.
you know.
So, I mean, basically the equivalent of 3.5 games then at that point. My mathy brain is yelling that that's not quite right, but I'm not going to take the time to figure that out.
That's all right. That's okay. But Bethlehem Steel, man, that's the game I'm really worried about. Of these two games, I think we get past Carolina.
I agree. I think, like I said, I would worry more about this game if North Carolina wasn't in the exact same position that we were. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a real good point.
And I do think that we've got a better than average chance in the Bethlehem game. Nippert's a special place to play, and they want to play well in front of their home fans.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've seen that. You know, we've been season ticket holders now. This is our third season, and I feel like we've constantly seen them rise to the occasion in front of their home stadium.
They really do. They love playing in Nippert. They feed off that energy, and we'll see how they do.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some U.S. Open Cup results. Louisville advances and gets by the New. Wow, that was terrible.
Oh, I could have been way worse.
That was terrible.
I mean, why of all the teams that it had to be Louisville?
Oh, man. So Louisville advances and gets past the New England Revolution 3-2.
That is an impressive win, though.
That's a very impressive win. And what about your boy Pat McMahon over there? He's rolling, man.
Pat McMahon.
I tell you what, man, he is paying dividends over there. And I don't know what the difference is. I don't know if it's the style of play they're playing over there, maybe a different atmosphere, maybe a different way to run. I don't know.
I don't think, for whatever reason, Alan Koch ever had a lot of confidence in Pat McMahon. As soon as John Harkes was out, Pat McMahon you almost didn't see him again on the pitch.
Yeah.
And I am very happy to see that he's found a place. I wish it wasn't Louisville, but he is playing really well there, and I'm happy for him. He's seen, I've only had a few encounters with him, but every encounter I've had with him, he's been so professional and friendly and just an all-around great guy. I loved watching him play, so right. I'm glad he's found a good place.
Yeah, he is doing a number over there in Louisville.
I feel like he was a big reason for their win against us at Nippert.
Oh, I do too. He played a very good game there.
Yes.
Chicago Fire advanced over the Columbus Crew 2-2 at the end of regulation. Now get this. The game then went to 2 sets of penalty kicks. 2. Final score in overtime, 10-9. Chicago.
What a heartbreaker. I mean, jeez Louise, you want something to go right for Columbus fans.
I'll tell you what. Do you think they'll stay? I mean, what is the...
I don't think so. I wish they would.
Yeah.
I would love that rivalry of Columbus and Cincinnati. And then I think it's just really shady what they're doing to the people of Columbus. But
kind of like the Browns in Cleveland, you know? I mean, the guy sold when the guy came in and I guess bought it.
Right.
He came in with the intention of moving him out. That's what the rumor is, and that's what you're hearing on the news and everything, is that he kind of came in with the intention of moving him out.
There is a big grassroots movement to try to keep him here. It does seem like they're getting some support from some public figures.
Yeah, but what can you do, though? I mean, if he's already going to Austin or wherever he's going.
Well, MLS has to approve that.
Yeah, I don't know. Wasn't there they're one of the lowest, I don't know, they're not the lowest on attendance, I don't think, but maybe sales or maybe, I don't know.
No, I don't remember.
I don't know. It seems like every time, and we're going to go to the game on Saturday, but it just seems, I've never been to a Columbus game, but it seems like, a good place to have. I've seen the stadium or whatever from the highway. I mean, I've never been in it, but I mean, I've seen it, and it's a nice stadium. It looked like a nice stadium anyway.
Right.
I don't know. We'll find out Saturday.
Right. Well, right now they are 22 out of 23 in average attendance. But I think that this year is a little bit hard to judge. I mean, they're pretty much being told that they're moving. I would have a hard time. I mean, I would have a hard time spending my money on a team that is telling me that they're leaving.
Yeah. And this is supposed to be the last one.
They're still beating DC United, so.
And that team, would you say they're beating DC United right now?
They are.
Nice.
By like 2,000 seats a game. That's.
Wow.
What does that tell you about DC United, huh?
Yeah, right. More with the Cup. Sporting KC, the last year's U.S. Open Cup champions, will advance with a 2-0 win over Real Salt Lake. Nashville defeats Colorado 2-0 to advance. And Sacramento beat the Seattle Sounders 2-1. Seattle's not having that great of a year, but hey, it doesn't matter. Anytime a USL team beats an MLS team,
sure.
That's news. Or anybody beats an MLS team, that's news, you know. So now, we are down to the round of 16. 3 USL teams are still in: Sacramento, Nashville, Louisville. In the East region, this will be paired off, and I think I want to say it's maybe 2 weeks or 1 week. I didn't see the schedule.
I believe it's 2 weeks away.
Yeah. DC United versus Orlando City. That'll be in the East region. Philadelphia Union versus the New York Red Bulls. One of those 4 teams will play each other. Philadelphia versus New York will play the winner of DC United, Orlando City. In the Midwest, Atlanta United versus the Chicago Fire. Atlanta United, of course, the home of Mitch Hildebrandt, our former goalkeeper. He's there. I don't believe he starts. So, but you know what would be interesting? I mean, it's the Cup. I mean, I wonder if he did start or will start.
He is also listed on the Atlanta United USL team. So I'm not real sure what is going on with him. I've had a hard time trying to figure that out. I don't know if his injury changed their plan for him or if their plan all along was him kind of going back and forth.
That could be too. And I really don't keep up with them because, you know, they're in Atlanta and I'm here. I gotta track FCC. That's enough work for me, you know.
You do have a short attention span.
I do. Also in the Midwest region, Louisville City FC versus Nashville FC. These two played each other during the regular season. 2 USL teams going at it, which is kind of, you know, but at least one is guaranteed to move forward.
That is true. That's a good way to look at it.
They played each other through the regular season and have split the series at 1 game apiece. This is a big one. This is a big one. Of all the ones I want to see, this would be the one I would watch, man. This was, you know, one that would hold my attention because I know both teams.
Biased against both teams, so I don't have a good reason to be biased against Nashville, except for they got their bid announced before we did, and that kind of made me angry. And then, of course, it's Louisville.
A lot of pent-up aggression there between those 2 teams.
Should be interesting.
There you go. Midwest region, Houston Dynamo versus Minnesota United.
Yeah.
Could have been us. Could have been us. Could have been us going to Houston or Houston coming here.
Yeah.
Sporting KC versus FC Dallas. So some very good games, man. I tell you, who's your favorite to win this?
To win the whole cup?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know. Sporting KC, I think, would be tough to beat. Red Bulls have a history of going far into recent history of going far into the tournament. Those 2 teams seem pretty good to me. Have a pretty good chance. Chicago Fires. Looks like they might be good.
Why don't you just pick every team on the list, you know?
Okay. I think one of those 16 teams are going to win. I mean, unless they all tie, you know.
You could tie? I'm taking Atlanta United to win the whole thing. They're doing very well in the regular season in the MLS. I'm taking Atlanta United to win the whole thing. I'm taking a stand. Okay. There you go. I forgot about the West region. Wait a minute. I might not take Atlanta this year. LAFC
Sacramento
versus Sacramento Republic, and I think Sacramento's getting murked in that game.
I would think.
Portland Timbers versus LA Galaxy. I think Galaxy gets by them.
Yeah.
I'm still taking Atlanta United. I don't care.
Just because you don't want to admit you forgot again.
Just cause. That's right. I don't want to admit I forgot again. That's it. There you go. All right. So let's go to some FCC news here. FCC became the 26th MLS franchise last week. I heard they'll be the 24th to take the field, but the 26th overall.
I don't always understand MLS logic. I guess we have a lot of MLS logic to get used to in the future. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, we don't have aggregates here in the USL, so we'll have to get used to that.
I think that's probably good for a lot of clubs.
Well, and that's, I tell you what, and they do that all the time in the Premier League and stuff like that. We're not used to it in the USL. No. So there you go.
Thank goodness they don't do it in the NFL or MLB.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Because I really
MLB,
feel like
I could see it, but no.
We would have some minor league teams often in the city of Cincinnati.
So let's talk about, they're the newest franchise signing. They will start next season. They're going to start next season. They'll be at Nippert next season. Maybe there for the next. They'll be there for definitely
next
2 years
for sure. Perhaps 3.
Possibly 3. They said that stadium they're building is.
I can't wait.
It's going to be something.
I can't wait. After all the drama, the drawn-out drama of where that stadium was going to be, all the arguments, all of the, we're not paying for it. I mean, just the intrigue. I can't wait. That stadium looks gorgeous.
Wasn't it the same people, I guess, that I want to say the same people that designed Real Madrid Stadium are designing this one as well, or the same company or whatever?
They looked to them. I don't remember exactly.
I thought it was Real Madrid. I could be wrong. I usually am. So let's talk about who has the potential to make the MLS team next season. And let me start it off here by saying, I know that, a lot of people, we've been talking about Minnesota United a lot, just in the city, and I hear them on talk radio and everything, where everybody's, they're talking about Minnesota United a lot because they're kind of like the blueprint. Because hear me out on this, not necessarily the blueprint that we're going to follow, but the blueprint that's, they're the last one to come in, so we kind of look at them as like hey, what did they do, and then we kind of follow it.
Right.
They had 4 guys from their main roster before they jumped to MLS stay. Everybody else got cleaned out and then got replaced with, whoever they replaced them with MLS people.
Right.
I think, and that's kind of the buzzword I've been hearing is, maybe we're keeping 4, we're going forward. I don't know. I think, we have quite a few people on there that can actually go to the next level. I think Ledesma can go.
I don't know how you'd argue if you're going to pick someone from this team, I don't know how you don't include his name. The only thing I can say that might be a knock against him is we just haven't seen a lot of him compared to some of the other guys since it's his first season here. But he has 12, a combination of goals and assists this season. That's insane. He has had some goals that you're like, what are you doing?
Right.
It's hard to imagine he couldn't at least have a shot, to come up and give it a try.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of where I am with him, I'll tell you that.
He wouldn't be the first one in my head, though.
Who's the first one in your head?
I think Kenny Walker is a no-brainer. I think that he is aggressive. He is all over the middle of that field. I think that we've seen him play. Now this is our 3rd season watching him play. He's often the captain when the captain's, when Austin Berry wasn't on the field or when Dekel Keenan is on the field. He's often the captain. So I feel like he must have some good locker room presence, some good sportsmanship, that kind of thing. Leadership, I guess, is really the word I was looking for. If I remember right, I think he has some previous MLS experience. I feel like he would be a really good one. I think Corbin Bone, for me, is about as close to being a no-brainer as Kenny Walker. I feel like Corbin Bone is one of the most you've heard me say this again and again, but one of the most underrated players on that team. So much of their success is dependent upon what he's able to do in the middle. And I honestly thought he didn't have the greatest game Wednesday night. I think that was part of why they had trouble breaking through the middle and getting it in the net.
What about Koenig?
I love Danny Koenig. I could see him. I love his hustle out there. He is always the first one running to put pressure on. I feel like he has an effort and a work ethic that it seems to be contagious. When he comes on, their spirits seem to lift. So I could see him.
I like him, and I think he can play. My problem is that he's going to be 32 in December.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I think he might be a little old for the roster, but I don't know. I mean, I would love to see him. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's one of my favorites. Did you mention Cicerone?
I didn't. Cicerone, I don't feel like I have a lot of I don't feel like I've seen him play a whole bunch. I was very impressed with him Wednesday night.
He was flat out fast.
He was fast. You can't teach speed, that's for sure. I think Dekel Keenan seems like in the short time we've seen him this season, he is solid back there. I remember when Harrison Delbridge signed in Melbourne, and I felt like I had no idea what this club was going to do, and I honestly don't feel like I've missed him too much because Dekel Keenan is that good back there. So I could see him being another one that comes up.
Yeah. What about Welshman?
I'm not so sure about Welshman. I don't even feel like I feel like he played an incredible game on Wednesday, but I'm not sure he's ready.
I would agree with that. What about Nazmi? Alba Dawi. Alba Dawi.
We can't get that name.
I can't. Yeah, I can't. We just call him Nazmi.
We do. Yeah. We're on a first name basis with him.
That's right.
He just doesn't know it yet.
That's it.
But he's one I want to say yes, but I sometimes I worry it's my own bias because I do love I love the way they're playing this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not as confident about him, but I think he has some potential.
All right. So Nazmi, maybe.
Maybe. He's a maybe for me, yeah.
All right.
He's one I wouldn't be angry if they kept him, but.
And Kenny Walker, of course, going to be 30 also.
I know, but I love me some Kenny.
I like Kenny too. I like Kenny.
And then I think that brings us to the one that I have the most personal bias for.
Sam
and the
DeWitt?
one that I. No.
Sam DeWitt?
No.
From the Netherlands.
Yeah, he is. He's definitely from the Netherlands. But one that I have the least, I think, perspective on, I love Jimmy McLaughlin. I think that he is so much fun to watch play. He just is. It's more fun to watch him it's more fun to watch that team when he's out there.
You and every other girl in the stadium.
No, just me mostly.
Who just screams his name.
He waves
when
to
he comes
me
out.
every week.
Oh boy. This is what I got to deal with.
Jimmy, though, for all his heart and his obvious passion for the game, and his skill, I mean, he's got some crazy footwork out there, and his hustle, you can't make him be bigger. And I'm not sure he's big enough to be in MLS. That being said, I don't think he could be a starter on the team, but I think he would be, I hope that they're willing to give him a chance.
Wow, look at you just dumping all over Jimmy. Just dumping all over him. Unbelievable.
Do you understand English? That wasn't what I said.
That's what it sounded like to me. I will tell you, let me tell you about Jimmy. I think he makes the club. And I'll tell you what, and based on his performance yesterday, or Wednesday, against Minnesota, he looked amazing out there.
Oh, he
looked great. And the size wasn't a difference. I mean, it didn't matter.
Went for a couple of headers that were like...
Well, he always loses head balls. I mean,
Jimmy...
he's...
Stay on the ground.
Yeah.
You are not going to out
that guy. He's always losing headers,
I hope that... And I think he's such a fan favorite that I think there's a good chance he'll make it.
I think so, too. Now, what about Patty Barrett and Justin Hoyt? Let's talk about those two.
I feel like Justin Hoyt has not played as well lately as we saw him play last year. I think the Justin Hoyt of last year, I would have not hesitated at all. The Justin Hoyt of this year, I feel like he is much more frustrated on the field. He's constantly wanting the ball, but as soon as he gets it, he gets rid of it. He just seems very discontent. And I feel like he's just not playing as well as he played last year. I don't think that this year's Justin Hoyt would make it.
Wow. What about Patty Barrett?
I know you are just in love with Patty Barrett.
He's my guy.
I know.
He's my guy.
But he's only been out there a handful of times. I don't think he's as good as Deco Keenan. I do think he's better than Forrest Lasso, though. So I don't know. He's one that it wouldn't be like I wouldn't react like I can't believe they kept him. That's crazy.
Right.
But I just have a feeling we could find better. Because we have to, I mean, we're going to have the MLS draft. We're going to have some expansion picks. I mean, we're going to have ways to get players with previous experience better talent. So if we were talking about another USL season, I'm not sure who I would pick to not be on our team. But if we're talking about MLS, it's a different animal.
Yeah. So Forrest Lasso, that's a no?
That's a no for me. I feel like, man, when he loses a play, they always score. When he gets beat like a drum.
He gets beat, yeah.
And he doesn't, I mean, he can go, the whole game and not have a problem, and then on one play, and the ball's in the net.
Yeah.
Because he misses big.
What about Boehner? What about Matt Boehner?
I love Matt Boehner, but I don't think so. I just don't think he's good enough.
Yeah, I think that's a tough sell. I mean, he has some pretty good, I mean, he plays great at USL, but I don't know how he would translate.
I think he had a great game against Minnesota.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Like, you have to see how does he translate? How would they translate? And that's what you got to kind of wrap your head around. Now let's talk about the keepers here. I don't remember Mark Village. He's listed as number 17 on there. I don't ever remember seeing him.
No, I don't.
So let's talk about Spencer Ritchie. For me, is a no.
Me too.
I think that's a pretty clear no. Evan Newton. I gotta think. Listen, man. I gotta think that there's better options out there. Not that Evan Newton is bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's a very good keeper, and I think honestly he's probably better than Mitch was in a lot of ways. I know you say that all the time. I know you say that all the time.
I mean, Mitch Hildebrandt was the face of this team for the first
sure.
2 years. I mean, he engaged with the Bailey in a way that was fun and made the
right.
Without Mitch Hildebrandt, I don't think we're sitting here talking about who's going to be on the MLS squad.
Yeah.
That being said, I think Evan Newton's a better keeper. I think toward the end of the season last year, you started to see some breakdowns where Mitch was out of position, where he wasn't, I don't know, just didn't seem like he was the same general of the defense that he had been earlier in the season.
Yeah.
I feel like, but it's early in the season, so who's to say that that Evan Newton doesn't wear down in the same way? But
that's true. That's real true.
I think at this point he seems like a better keeper than Mitch.
Yeah.
Which, if Atlanta United signed Mitch thinking that he might play up there, then I guess what's to say Evan Newton wouldn't be able to play for us?
I don't know. Like I said, man, there's got to be better options. And I like a taller type of keeper.
I'm not worried about height. I don't think the height's a big deal.
Yeah. Oh. That's what I like. I like a
he just needs
keeper.
to get longer gloves and he'll be fine.
Longer gloves. Yeah, that's right. There you go. Our crack expertise over here.
I mean, all I have to do is ask, and I can give them these tips all the time.
Right. Yeah, just get bigger gloves. Just get the hamburger helper gloves. Yeah, you'll be fine, man.
Just make your goals smaller.
Yeah.
Oh.
People just tuning out right now. All right, let's talk about some more FCC news here. FC Cincinnati, and this is very, very exciting. I know you were very excited about it. FC Cincinnati and Alpine Valley Pure Service.
I didn't think this could be the one you're talking about. You're saying it's exciting.
Have partnered together to launch an FCC branded water. The water is available at Kroger, and it's kind of a cool looking bottle, to be honest with you. Did you see it? It was plastic, and it's got the big orange lion on it and stuff.
Who cares?
Well, it's fresh mountain water. Mountain spring.
I love FCC, but come on.
I think the water tastes better, too, myself. I mean...
You've definitely not tried it.
I can see what the water looks like. There's nothing floating in it or anything like that. It looks pure to me, pure as a mountain stream, and I'm telling you,
as you can tell, he does not
water.
drink a lot of water, because he thinks there's things floating in it when you get it out of the tap.
I'm just saying.
Nothing good comes out of your mouth before I'm just saying.
Now, some more exciting news. A tweet came out today from Bob Williams of sportsbusiness.com. The tweet stated that FCC has hired Interbrand. This is the same agency that redesigned the Juventus logo, and they're going to work on an evolutionary update of the team's intellectual property. The team name and colors will stay the same. The key word, though, is evolutionary, quote, unquote. What do you think about that? You've seen the Juventus logo. It's pretty cool, right?
It is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
I mean, it sounds like we're big time now, so that's fun.
They're really working on branding here. They really are. When you take a look at that stadium, I mean, a lot of exciting things. When you take a look at that stadium and all that other stuff, the bad news, of course, is that you're going to have to buy brand new jerseys. The jerseys go for, and by the way, I looked it up. The jerseys are going for, what is it, 88, what is it, 90? $95 now. They're jacking them up to $150 because that's what every MLS team is. They're about $150.
Well, I guess then we'll just have to be wearing the USL ones.
Yeah, I'm just going to get a marker and just cross out USL and just put MLS on it.
We can sew a new patch on it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
No, we'll just be vintage.
That's even a better idea. That's even a better idea. We'll call it vintage.
Yes.
That rules.
Old is so yesterday. Vintage is now.
That's it. That's how we roll. But yeah, $150. So everything, I mean, you're looking at a price jump for everything. And so that, I mean, the great part is that you're in MLS, but the bad part, of course, is that you're looking at a price jack everywhere. So there you go.
Well, aren't you just a little ray of sunshine? Raining on our MLS parade.
Oh, man. All right, so let's talk about some soccer news here. World Cup starts next Thursday, June 14th in Russia. Germany.
When is the U.S. playing again?
What's that?
When's the U.S. team playing?
U.S. team is not in it this year.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I forgot about that, right? That's cold blood. Why'd you got to bring that up, man? That's messed up.
The women would not have missed the World Cup. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I agree. They're a good team. Well, they won it 3 times, right?
Yep.
There you go.
All 3 stars on their national jersey is from us girls. Just saying.
Germany is the odds-on favorite to repeat. The Netherlands is out. So I'm pulling for Mexico. So no Netherlands in there. You know what they say. If you ain't Dutch, you ain't much.
Man, you even said Dutch a couple times and we got away without it. Get used to that phrase.
So we'll have a full report about all the World Cup action next episode.
So is Messi going to get his finally?
No. No.
So the real question is, are we going to see a toddler-sized meltdown from Messi?
I'm surprised. Remember last time, and it was a CONCACAF, wasn't it? When wasn't it CONCACAF or whatever? Yeah. Where he threw a fit when he missed it. They got him on the line to kick that. He was in overtime. Yes, penalty kicks in overtime. And he just went way over the bar. He hit the bar, went way over the bar, and it just had an epic meltdown afterwards.
Definitely a role model on the sidelines for sportsmanship that day.
But you know what? You can't really, listen, man, that guy carries that entire team, that entire country on his back, and he is good.
Yeah,
let's face it, without him, they're not even anywhere close to there.
Well, nobody cares what happens to him if he's not playing. But I do recall him saying he would never play for the Argentina national team again.
Yeah, but he got overall.
So I'm just, anytime a grown man is acting like a child, I feel like we should point that out.
So I think Brazil's going to win. I think Brazil takes it this year. I don't think there's going to be a repeat. I think Brazil pulls it out.
I wouldn't mind seeing Brazil win.
I think Mexico can go pretty far. I don't think they're going to go all the way. I think they're going to have a run. I think Mexico's going to have a run.
If we can't be in it, let's root for some North American teams.
There you go. Canada. Why don't we root for them? Oh, yeah, they're not in it.
Did they come up against Trinidad and Tobago, too?
Which one? Trinidad or Tobago? Which one? There are 2 countries pulling together against us, man. That's what put us out. Who else had to play 2 countries,
Everybody played them. Which was like the 4 other teams in that bracket. But
right.
Whatever.
Right. So who's your pick to win it all?
I kind of think I have a feeling Germany's going to get it again. I don't have a good reason.
They're a solid team, man. They are a solid team. And, they're the odds-on favorite. They seem to be hitting on all cylinders, and, yeah.
I'm honestly not too, I'm going to root for Mexico. They're kind of my team in this.
Yeah,
and then,
for sure.
Taste of Belgium was trying to get everyone to root for Belgium, so I'll root for them a little bit because they have some good waffles there. God, I sound like such a girl, don't I?
Yeah. I'm going to root for them because they have red jerseys.
Right. But no, I'm just looking forward to some good soccer. I'm not even too worried about who's going to win. That is one kind of cool thing, not cool thing, but I guess consolation prize to the U.S. not being in it is that we can just sit back and watch some good soccer.
Yeah, because you don't have a dog in the fight. You know what I mean? You really don't.
Right.
It's
so you can just sit there and watch, and the spectacle of the whole thing is exciting.
Yeah, and like I said, man, I love watching Germany play. I love watching Mexico play. I love watching the Netherlands, even though they're not in it. That's my team, but they're not.
Why?
In it,
why are the Netherlands your team?
The Orange Crush, the defense, the way they hold people, man. You ever see them play? You don't even know.
Not that I recall.
Why don't you go watch some YouTube? Why don't you guys YouTube it? All right, that's your homework for next episode. You got to YouTube them, then give me a full report on it. How about that?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen. All right, enough of this nonsense here. Enough of your silliness. That'll do it for this edition of Queen City Soccer Podcast. We will be back next week with a brand new episode. And until then, we will see you later.